Hey, yo, Miggy, what's up?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Miggy Talkz. I'm your host with the most, Miggy, aka Rico Suave Jr., aka Mr. Still Your Girl, aka Chef Whippin' in the kitchen. Now, this is a very special episode because today I have with me one of my best buddies slash teammate and Quincy local, Brendan Murray. Brendan Murray, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, Miggy.
All right, Brendan. So, I'm from the big city of Long Beach, 500,000 people in it. We got neighboring cities such as, LA, Lakewood, Orange County isn't too far away from me. So there's a lot going on in Southern California. There's pretty much a store for everything. Growing up, I had a lot of friends. I would go out to parks, go out to parties and stuff. Even driving around in my car, sometimes I'd see the occasional Lamborghini, Ferrari, exotic stuff like that, because my city is huge. There's a lot of opportunities. And so, my question for you is, what was it like growing up in Quincy? Like, how did your family wind up here and how did that all kind of come together?
So my family, both my mom and my dad, are from Southern California. My mom grew up around San Luis Obispo, and my dad grew up in Indio. I'm pretty sure Indio, I've never been there, but I think it's about an hour away from LA. So same thing, both Southern California, bigger places. So my dad's dad lived here in Quincy. He ended up moving up here to live with him. And then my mom's dad started a business here in Quincy as a plumber. So my mom came here, and then my mom and dad met here. And then obviously, I had my brother and I here in Quincy. But yeah, growing up here in Quincy, obviously a smaller town, definitely not like it is down south. Not a lot of places to go. I mean, we have Reno and Chico. Both are about an hour and a half away, but you got to drive to get to those bigger stores, bigger places, do a lot of the things that city people do, I guess. But, I've lived here my entire life, so 20 years now. I was born in Chico, actually, but I was, raised here, so this is all I know, really. I like it a lot here in Quincy.
Damn, bro, that's what's up. Now, I got recruited to come play baseball here, and I'm also majoring in business because I have hopes of starting my own business someday. So, obviously, you're here playing baseball as well. Are there any achievements or awards that you've gotten growing up playing baseball, and what are you majoring in anyway at the school?
Yeah, so baseball has always been a big part of my life. I've been playing since I was 3 or 4, playing t-ball, and some achievements playing baseball when I was around 10, 11, 12, something like that, playing Little League All-Stars. We actually ended up winning the section championship for All-Stars, and so it's how that works is we won the division round, which we're playing a little bit smaller towns, around the same size as Quincy. And then once we started playing in that section tournament, we were playing a little bit bigger cities. So we were playing like Chico, Redding. So that was pretty cool, small town kids being able to beat those bigger areas in baseball. Moving on to high school baseball, I played tournaments on varsity my freshman year of high school. So that was pretty cool. My sophomore year, I played on varsity as well. And I actually ended up being the starting shortstop as a sophomore on varsity. So that was pretty cool too. And my senior year of baseball, we ended up winning the section championship as well. And then after high school, so I knew I wanted to keep trying to play baseball. And the coach here at FRC, I knew him from when I was little. I grew up playing sports with his son, and he actually was our coach in Little League. So he coached us in All-Stars. So I knew him really well, knew his son really well, knew his whole family, he knew my family, that small town stuff, I guess. But so I knew I wanted to keep trying to play baseball here at FRC, so I was lucky enough to be able to have a good connection with him, being able to continue trying to play baseball here. And then my major here at FRC, so I actually just got my degree in kinesiology this last May because I thought I wanted to be an athletic trainer, but actually towards the end of my degree, I decided that I probably wasn't going to want to do that, which was kind of interesting and weird. I started learning things and figured out, maybe athletic training isn't really what I want to do. So this year, my third year, because I redshirted my first year and I decided to come back for this third year to keep playing baseball. And it actually worked out because I decided I didn't really want to do that athletic training stuff. So I decided to change my major to business. And so I'm going to be graduating in May with my business degree. And so far, I'm really liking it. Like Miggy was saying, he wants to start a business and own his own business one day. And that's kind of where I'm at now, too. I want to, eventually, hopefully own my own business, run a business.
Hell yeah, bro. Sounds like you're a man with a plan. Now, I wouldn't be here today playing baseball and getting an education if it wasn't for the support of my parents, you know? Like my dad coming from nothing, working super hard, staying focused, and being as successful as he is. And even my mom, who is also just as hardworking, very supportive, very encouraging. They are definitely two of my biggest role models that have gotten me to where I am here today. Now, my question for you is, who are your two biggest role models, and how did they help you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so it's kind of hard for me to narrow it down to just two people. But like you were saying, I'm lucky enough to have two loving parents, hardworking, teach me a lot about hard work and how to be kind to others. But I also have to give a lot of credit to, other people in my family. My older brother has helped me a lot in my life and showed me a lot. And also, my grandparents, my stepdad, my stepmom, and then also my coaches growing up too. My, football coaches, baseball coaches, growing up through Little League, high school, all that. They've helped me and showed me a lot. And I've also learned a lot from friends and stuff too, So I'd say there's a lot of people that have really helped me throughout my life.
Damn, bro, that's pretty special. Now, in Long Beach, there's pretty much a store for everything. And when I mean everything within about a 30-mile radius. We got escape rooms, we got various movie theaters, supermarkets, all kinds of malls, theme parks like Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, Six Flags, and various professional teams such as, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Kings, the Ducks, you name it. Now, do you feel like there's any advantages or disadvantages living in a super small town compared to where I'm from in Long Beach? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so some of the obvious disadvantages of, living in Quincy compared to like a place like Long Beach is we don't have those supermarkets and malls and, various movie theaters and all that. Here in Quincy, we only have one movie theater and the movie plays one movie at a time. And normally it's a movie that came out about a month or two ago. We get our movies pretty late. And we definitely don't have a Disneyland or Knott's Berry Farm or anything like that here. So, I think the closest like amusement park, technically, I think it's a water park, but it's in Reno. So again, like an hour and a half drive compared to, like you were saying, only probably 30 minutes max down in Long Beach. So there's some advantages though for living here, I guess. Everyone knows each other. But then again, that could be a disadvantage for some people because, everything you're doing is, getting watched in a sense because, everyone knows everyone. So if you do something and someone sees it, they're going to tell their friends and then they're going to tell their friends who happen to be your friends. So, stuff gets around really quick here. So yeah, it could go either way, I think. If you see that as a disadvantage, not having a lot of stuff here, that could be someone else's advantage too. So, yeah.
Living in Long Beach, life moves really, really fast, at least compared to here, in my perspective, because I've lived in Long Beach my entire life. So I don't really have much opportunity to kind of sit back and, notice things that go on around me like how I do here, which is one of the reasons why I really like skeptical about all these ghost encounters that I've had. So my question for you is, since you've lived here so long, what are some of the craziest experiences that you've ever had? May it be ghosts or anything else like that.
I haven't had anything too crazy happen to me personally as far as like ghost stories and stuff. But I know like some of my close friends have had some weird things happen with ghosts or whatever it may be. But there's this crazy story that my family talks about all the time. So my great grandma was up here visiting, and they were all having dinner at the dining room table, and her wheelchair was off to the corner with the wheels locked, and they were sitting there, eating dinner, and then all of a sudden they look over, and the wheelchair is just rolling across the dining room, and my family just kind of stops and they're looking around at each other, like what is going on? And they went and double checked the wheelchair and the wheels were locked. So I guess, whatever that, a ghost pushed the wheelchair across the room, whatever you want to believe, I guess. But, my family was pretty freaked out by that. So that happened in the house that I currently live in. And my room is upstairs at the end of the hallway. And, I've had some little weird things like the door being pushed open and, hearing some weird noises at night. But, nothing too crazy personally. But, I guess that's a pretty crazy family ghost story for our house. So, and then we had another, this isn't a ghost story, but So when I was in high school, we used to play this game called Fugitive, where pretty much you would try to get from one side of town to the other side of town, and there would be people driving around looking for you. And if they spotted you with their headlights, you had to stop and you lost or whatever, right? And so it was just kind of like a school tradition thing that we used to do. And so one year I was playing, I think it was my junior year or sophomore year of high school, and my friends and I were running, and we were almost to the other side of town where we needed to get to, and we were running through this trailer park. And during this game, it's kind of like the cops around town, they know about it, so they try to let people know the best they can of like, hey, there are going to be a lot of kids out tonight running around. You might see them in your yard. You might see a huge group of kids like running down the street, like don't freak out. But so one of my friends and I, we were running through the trailer park, and probably not the smartest idea, but we were running through this guy's yard, and out of nowhere we hear this guy just bust open the door, and he starts yelling at us, and we're like, obviously we stopped because at that point we're pretty scared. We're in this guy's yard. He busted down the door and he's yelling at us. And he comes out and he's like threatening us, and he's like, hey, you guys need to get off my property. Like, I have a gun. You guys need to get out of here. And my friend and I just froze, and we were like, had our hands up, and we're backing away from him. We're like, I'm sorry. We didn't mean to, we're just playing a game. Didn't mean to intrude on your property. But so that was pretty crazy, obviously. Pretty scary experience, crazy experience.
Yeah, bro, that is a pretty crazy experience. Now, are there any fun facts that you would like everybody to know about yourself?
Kind of an interesting fact, I guess. I'm colorblind, and I didn't find that out till recently. So when I was little, they couldn't really tell as much. But then when I started getting older, like my parents would point at stuff or talk about stuff, and I'd, be getting colors wrong and like mixing things up. And they were just kind of like, okay, is he joking with us, or is he actually, some kind of thing going on here? So I went to the eye doctor for a completely separate reason, and then at the end of it, my dad was like, we've noticed he's been messing up some colors. Like, is there any way to check for that right now? Can we check to see if he's actually colorblind? And so the eye doctor brought out this book with all these different circles that had a bunch of different colored dots in it, and inside the circles, all the dots made up like different shapes or different numbers or whatever. And I wasn't able to see like all the shapes and numbers and stuff within the dots. And my dad was standing behind me looking at the same test that I was looking at, and he's like, are you serious? Like, you can't see that. Like, there's a 4 right there, or a 6 or whatever it was. I was like, no, I really can't. And so the doctor told me that I was red-green colorblind. But so it's kind of weird because, obviously, and Miggy and I were just talking about this earlier. It's like, my colors are just different than everyone else's. Like, we're taught from a young age, like, oh, this color is this color. And so, we learned that, okay, that's yellow. But then obviously it looks completely different in my mind, especially me being colorblind. And so, yeah, I guess that's kind of interesting.
Damn, bro, I think that's pretty interesting. And you were right about the whole conversation that we had about how my yellow might be somebody else's green, but we've been taught from a young age that that's what that color is. So our entire lifespan, my yellow is really somebody else's red the entire time, but we recognize and we just label it as that color being yellow. Now, Brendan, thank you so much for being on the show, man. I had a lot of fun interviewing you, man. I think you're a pretty cool guy, pretty cool cat. Now, floor is yours, bro. Whatever you got to say, whatever you want to shout out, man, say what you got to say, bro.
Shout out to my mom, shout out to my girlfriend, and shout out to you, Miggy. Thank you for doing this. This was fun.